Like, if you want to do the countdown and then give me the finger.
All right. No, not like that. You idiot.
Don't ever fucking tell me what to do again, Brian. God dang it.
Oh my god.
Who has messaged me?
Spilling my water everywhere.
All right, let me pull up this intro. BFT intro. All right, is everyone ready? Oh, not yet.
You.
All right, I'm gonna.
Are you ready?
All right, on go. I'm gonna start it. So everyone, shut the fuck up.
You shut the fuck up,
All right,
pussy.
3, 2, 1, go.
About me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Bona Fide Talk. This is Brian Edwards. I will be the MC today. I'm here with my co-hosts Blake Manzer and Cameron Campbell. Do note, there's only 3 of us tonight. Garrett decided he's got some family stuff going down in Mississippi, so didn't make sense for him to be here tonight. So I will be trying to take over the MC role for tonight. We'll see how this goes. For 2 reasons, one of which Garrett being out, and then also you'll notice my audio is probably a little better. I want to go ahead and show off my little mic for our YouTube listeners, but pretty cool little thing. About $50 sits on the end of my desk, and as Cameron and Blake can attest, my sound doesn't sound like shit anymore.
Sounding good.
Yeah, it sounds
Sounding good.
Great investment.
We're upgrading, leveling up. BFT's constantly
yeah.
leveling up.
Cool. So without further ado, we're gonna get into our drinking on segment. I mixed it up this week, so Cameron will get into this a little later, but we had a birthday party for Reed Bowman, one of our loyal listeners, turned 22. Big belated shout out Reed for his birthday. But all that to say, and I've talked about this before in previous segments, but I treated myself this weekend and picked up the Bud Light mix pack, and that came with the lemonade. Hands down, one of the best beers on the market right now. Tastes fucking amazing. It's still kind of beer. It's not the seltzer bullshit, but it tastes like a lemonade.
Interesting. So it's not a seltzer lemonade like the Trulies? It's different?
No, it is a ale intertwined with a real lemon peel. So think of it like a like if Blue Moon was mixed with lemonade instead of like an orange peel. And they have orange too. But yeah.
So does it taste similar to Blue Moon? Like, can you tell that it's definitely a beer? Or
yeah, you know it's a beer. It's just like switch out orange with a lemon. It's kind of like it's very similar to Blue Moon, to be honest.
Where did you get that?
I wish I could have had one. Remember we went in there to the fridge? Yeah, dude, all my beers were snagged at Reed's. I went back in there. I definitely, because I took a 12 pack, and I definitely did not drink nearly 12. And I went back in there, and they're all gone. All the beers are gone. Brian tried to share.
I sucked down like 3 or 4 of yours.
Oh yeah.
What kind of beer did you bring, Cameron?
I took a little, some mommies. Took some mommies over to Ryan's and only drank maybe 6 or so of them, half. They're tall boys though, so it was a good night.
I'll get you back next weekend. Reed's talking about round 2 while the parents are still away. So yeah, stay tuned there.
And those
without
6
further
beers.
ado, though,
is that like this weekend or the one after that?
Like this weekend coming up.
All right, down.
Oh no, I got a dog sit, so To be determined.
You can bring them.
I would rather
I'm just
not.
kidding.
Fuck.
I'm just kidding.
So, Blake, what you got?
All right, so I had to return to my white girl roots today, and I went back to the Truly lemonade, specifically the
Nice.
mango
Still
one.
lemonade.
Nice.
It's like a mango lemonade. Dude, I love these things. They, if I'm not feeling like a beer, I'm going with the Truly. Call
They're
me a white
really
girl if I
good.
want. Maybe if they come out with a pumpkin spice one, I might get it. Who knows?
That would be ass, dude.
Oh yeah, I don't know about that. Lemonade is very good though. I do like those.
Yeah, these are pretty good.
Have
But
y'all
as
had
for
pumpkin
me,
spice Starbucks?
nope.
Not
good.
I have
Don't
not.
do it.
I honestly don't. I'm really not a fan of any of like the fall themed drinks or like many of the fall themed foods. I
I
don't
like
know.
some pumpkin stuff and some
Yeah.
like pies, like a good pumpkin pie,
Yeah, I mean
pumpkin
pumpkin pie's
bread,
okay, but not my
pumpkin
favorite.
bread. So my mom used to make these things. Like instead of it was just like this pumpkin bread kit. Instead of making bread, she would make chocolate chip cookies out of the pumpkin bread, and those were always really good.
Shit.
Ooh, that actually
Yeah,
does sound good.
it's like yeah, really good. So but yeah, not haven't had the pumpkin spice latte or anything like that.
What are you drinking on, Cameron?
I got a nice glass of water, or a Yeti full of water. Um, like I said, drank a few beers over at Ryan's this week at Reed's party. Happy birthday, Reed. Had a great time, and I'm just trying to get to my September goal, my fitness goal. So I'm just sticking to water tonight, not trying to drink multiple times a week.
Still trying to recover.
All right.
No, I was good. I had a glass of water in the morning. I don't really get hangovers like what I've mentioned before, so I was
That's
good.
bullshit.
No recovery, a little exercise in, and it's all fine.
That's a great trait to have. No hangovers. I've ever
Nice.
since sophomore year of college, dude. I get definitely hangovers. I've had a 3-day hangover before. No
Yeah.
joke.
If I drink too much in a night, I'll have a 3-day hangover.
Dang.
It's not fun.
So lucky you, Cameron.
Yeah, that doesn't sound
Lucky
fun.
you. So speaking of Reed's party this past weekend, fun time. Definitely a different assortment of people there, shout out AJ Sweet. I know he's one of our listeners too. Saw him for the first
Yeah.
time in a while in person, so that was cool. Good catching up.
Yeah.
Yeah, then some of Connor's friends, John Holmesy, Brett, they both are also listeners. So shout out there, cool to see just a different group of people than, it's been years for some of those. But anyway, so that got us talking. Tonight we kind of coined this segment Memory Lane. So what we're going to be covering here is the difference between high school parties and then college parties. So there's a lot to unpack here and unravel. But when I think back to high school, um, one word comes to mind if you're talking about parties, and it's obviously Bowman's. Where we were this weekend. Granted, it's not how it used to be. It's always different. People grow up. Some people move away. Some people never come back. Um, but Bowman's is always there and always has been. It's been some great memories from high school, and y'all want to just kind of reflect on what you think the best party we ever had at that house was.
Ooh, man, I'm
That's
gonna
loaded.
probably say junior prom is probably the biggest and best overall of all of them.
That was a good
I
one.
Is
think.
that the one, Blake? Me and you like went over to set up because we didn't go to prom that year.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
we took pictures with Ryan beforehand with his date, and then they all went off to prom, and we just kind of
Yeah.
I think we just hung back and played Xbox while they were all at prom until the party started up.
No, I think we were prepping, dude. Do you remember when we stayed up maybe like the night before because prom would fall on a Saturday, so that Friday night we painted that badass pong table like
Yeah.
2015 or something like that. The white
Yeah.
on gold.
Was that
Like we
that
went
night?
hard for prepping there. That was the Friday night before,
Oh,
and then
I
prom
think
was
you're right.
Saturday.
Yeah, dude, we used to go hard on prepping up for those parties, setting up lights in the barn, literally building tables and painting them, because we knew that
Yeah.
we needed somewhere to play beer pong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Or
Yeah. Because the
beer
ping
ball.
pong table got broken. Thanks, Levi. We need to get him on
I,
too.
I think it was a
It's
mixture of
hilarious.
Levi, John Moyer, and I'm pretty sure Campbell Reed jumped in there at some point.
Yeah, I think a lot of people jumped on that table.
Yeah.
So you mentioned beer pong. Cameron, we were playing some Saturday night. I think that was the first
Mm.
time in, I don't know, dude, 6 months to a year that I'd played beer pong. But
Yeah, same.
so we were talking about like college parties too. So one of the fads that came up, this was probably like my junior year and senior year, the kids started playing beer die. So I think what we could do right here is maybe power rank beer die, beer ball, and beer pong. What do y'all think?
Well, first I think everyone knows what beer pong is, but let's explain what beer die and beer ball are. Because I know a
Yeah.
lot of my friends that I made up here have no idea what the hell beer ball is. I've had to show it to them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so all right, so obviously beer pong, you got the cup set up uh, in some sort of arrangement, and you try to make it until you finish all the other team's cups. Beer ball is on the same sort of table. It's you and a partner, and so you and your partner each have a drink on your uh, two corners of the table, and you're playing against another set of people with their drinks on their edge of the table. And so let's say me and Cameron were partners in beer ball, and Brian and Garrett, hypothetical Garrett in this situation, were partners. So if me and Cameron started out with a ball, let's say that I throw it, I try to either physically hit either Garrett or Brian's beer can with the ball, and if it hits, it's obviously going to bounce off. And as soon as it bounces off, Cameron opens his beer and starts chugging it until either Brian or Garrett get the ball and touch it to the table. That's when Cameron would stop, and you just rotate through, for each turn. And so this is where beer ball is a little bit different from other games. The goal in beer ball is for your team to finish your drinks before the other team does. Whereas obviously in like beer pong, the other team, if they're losing, they're drinking more than you are. So that's where it's a little
Hmm.
bit
Right.
confusing, but it's so much fun.
Yeah,
And
sounds like a
then
lot more skill, a lot more strategy too.
Yeah.
You got to be fast at
accuracy.
drinking. You got to be fast at moving around, picking up that ball, putting it back on the table.
And you also
All
can't
about speed.
you're not going to have like one team running the table the whole night cuz after like 5 games of beer ball, you've each chugged at least 5 beers. So, you're
True,
after a few more games, your aim's not going to be as good. So,
true.
throws a wrench into the system.
So do y'all have a good grasp on beer die? Because I sure as hell don't. I know it's played with glasses, right?
No, not at least not the way I've played
No.
it.
Okay.
I don't
Cameron, have you
know.
played Beer Die?
No.
Um, so Beer Die it's also on like a ping pong table or something, same type of table that you would play beer pong on. But man, I don't like fully remember, but at least the way I remember it is so it's like same thing. It's you and a partner against another person and his partner, his or her partner, and you have to throw up a physical like six-sided die in the air, and so if you got to throw it up and it's got to hit the table and bounce off. And when it hits the table, the other team has to physically catch it. Um, but if it hits the ground, then you either get a point
The
or
point.
yeah, I think it's a point system.
It's 1 point. Yeah, it's a point system, and then like, say somebody like kicks it, right?
Oh
So
yeah,
say
you
I threw it and it hit the table, but then Blake kicked it up and grabbed it, then that's like 3 points, right, or some shit like that.
yeah, it's something like that. Man, this is where we need Reed because I the only place I ever played beer die was at Reed's fraternity house, and I know he loved that shit. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's still really fun. I wish I remembered all the details, but
Hmm.
yeah.
I'll go ahead and power rank. my
Okay.
personal opinion. So 1 and 2 really depends on like the scenario and how like packed the environment is. But say you have a relatively like open space, beer ball is number one hands down all the time. The second would be beer pong, just because it's a classic game. And then beer die. I never really got into that shit. I thought it was kind of stupid, but
Ouch.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely depends on the scenario, who you're with. I think if I was, like you said, in a less crowded, more open space with maybe the boys, a bunch of the boys that are all competitive, then I'd be more wanting to play beer ball. Uh, and then if it was just like casual party, you can have a conversation while playing beer pong. There's no
Yeah.
running around. There's just taking your shot and then waiting for the next team to shoot. So it's casual and it's good for those kind of parties. You can play a lot easier to play with girls, understand the rules a little simpler. So,
Mhm.
but if it's the boys, then I'm not being sexist or anything, but I think Blake's got a grin like, oh,
That
here
was
goes
just really
something
funny the
bad.
way you said it.
No, but yeah, if you want to, play against girls, play with the girl on your team. I mean, it's just everyone can understand the rules. Like,
It's just
I mean,
common knowledge.
somebody that hasn't played before can just come up and just play. It's easy.
Right. Yeah.
So there's not like, yeah, having to figure out all the rules and having to be quick about it. Like the space too is a big thing, how crowded it is.
Right.
But yeah, I put beer pong number one personally, just for that reason. You play it more often, more people.
What's 2 and 3?
Beer ball, and then like Brian said, I haven't played beer die, and those rules sound like I'd rather just play something else.
It's definitely fun once you get into it. I haven't played it that much. But
Okay.
I'd probably have to go with the same ranking: beer pong first, beer ball second, beer dive first. Maybe in my younger years when I was more agile, I'd put beer ball at the top. But I've gotten old and slow. Joints are starting to hurt.
Yeah, for sure.
It's also a
For
shit sport.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have Bowman's parties back in high school where you're playing games like that. I mean, college, you also have some of the tailgating activities that bring in that type of stuff. But what I think I enjoyed most about college was the away games. So
Yeah.
if you go to a university like Georgia, obviously SEC football, um, you get the opportunity. At least I did those for me 4.5 years. So I got 5 seasons to really go and experience like other college towns for a weekend. So, for example, I know Blake, you went, Cameron, I think you went to Auburn at least once.
Yeah.
Ole Miss, I went. Oh shit. LSU, Alabama, Kentucky. Never went to Tennessee. Kind of wish I did. South Carolina, but just like getting the different experiences there was cool shit to me. And, having a team to rep going into an away game environment, um, experiencing a new, kind of scene altogether, that was just cool shit to me. And that's something like high school, obviously, you have like the high school football games, but like it's not like an enterprise level like it is in college. But I don't think I could ever, say I liked one over the other, like high school versus college parties, just because they're so different. Like that'd be, I don't know what they say, comparing apples to oranges or Bud Light lemonade to Blue Moon orange. So I don't know, it just it doesn't tee up.
Yeah, they've definitely got their pros and cons. I know. So for those of us who are listening and didn't know this in high school, I feel like we had um a different path than like most quote unquote high school kids, because we did have a place like Ryan Bowman's house where we could just like let loose, and just had like a wide open backyard with his barn, and had the resources to get basically as much alcohol as we wanted. Um, which looking back, especially talking to some of my friends that I've made in college and here, a lot of people definitely didn't grow up with that as their high school life. So there was, I mean, the parties at Ryan's house, definitely they were wild. I think partially because um, it we were just letting loose for a weekend. It was more special than like drinking in college. Everyone does it, so that kind of becomes the norm. Whereas in high school, everyone talks about it in school. We got to like keep it hush hush from the teachers. We had like a little list, and you felt so exclusive when you were on that list. Like it was like typical like high school buzz, which gave it its own special thing. But then in college, obviously, like the magnitude of the parties was just so much bigger. Like all the parties I went to at your fraternity house, Brian, were just you know a lot of times you would have like a band there if it was like for this your spring party, your spring band. Tons of alcohol, plenty of people just coming in and out. Then we had like downtown Athens to go to like right afterwards. So that those were for sure fun. But just didn't know as many people there as I obviously did like back um, back at Ryan's parties. So it's different. There's pros and cons to both.
Yeah. Yeah, unlimited resources in kind of both respects, honestly, for us, because like you said, we had access to really get as much alcohol as we wanted.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ryan's fake IDs with the newspaper tape overs.
Bro, yeah, beer's cheap enough to where everyone throws in like $5-10 and you get a couple 30 packs and of just cheap, just natty or Bud Light, and we're good.
Man,
We're all
that
good.
was the worst. I mean, it was kind of fun scrounging together, enough alcohol to drink before one of those parties. But it was always so stressful if you were the one who was like responsible for going out and getting it, because like, you know, us three, none of us cared what we wanted. We were like, yeah, Bud Light, Natty, whatever, just get as much beer as you can possibly get. And then
Right.
if you had some girls trying to get some beer, they're like, oh, I'd like a Red's Apple Ale, or no, can I get some a bear
That's
one bottle of
hilarious.
Barefoot wine? Give me this. They were always like so specific. And when you're 18, you're trying to be as inconspicuous as possible. Like I remember, like I would always all I wanted was like one 30 pack in my hand, put it on the counter, quickly show my ID, get out of there. But if I had like, you know, a 224 packs of like Bud Light, and then like
You're
Four
just trying to buy
Locos,
the whole
and like
store as like
all
a
this random stuff in my
18-year-old.
other hand, it's like
Daddy, daddy.
it's harder to like carry out of the store. And the guy, like obviously the guy knows that I'm not going to be drinking like some white Zinfandel
This
$13
is
bottle
not
of
for you.
wine, and I've got like a 24 pack of Bud Light over here. Yeah, so
But when it worked out, you can't tell me being like a 17-year-old pulling up to the party with 230 packs of Bud Light, you don't just feel like a badass, like, I am the
Yeah.
party.
Yeah.
bitch, I
And you're
am the
bringing
list.
alcohol. That was a problem is, you always like to be the one bringing alcohol because there's always going to be those people that don't bring any.
Oh yeah,
And they're,
for
yeah,
sure.
you gotta have extra. Just like I talked about for this last party. Even then, not just
Dude,
high
there's a
school.
lot of beer there too. I was surprised. And then
There was,
somebody
dude. It's
started getting into
all
liquor.
gone.
Ugh.
How many people
Ugh.
were there this weekend at
Yeah,
Reed's?
for like 20, 25.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was decent.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing like the
Yeah.
old Ragers.
What do you think, Cameron?
What would
How would you compare the parties we went to in college, or even just like, well, yeah, the parties we went to in college versus in high school?
Yeah, just hugely different. I mean, high school we had a couple big ragers. Like I was gonna say, what do you think the biggest party of Ryan's was, like person wise, like number of people?
I
At
rem
least 100.
there was like physically the number of people there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
remember we would always count for whatever reason every party, and I think the first few were like between 50 and 60, and then once word got out to the other surrounding high schools in the area, and like all these
Mhm.
random people that we didn't know started
Oh,
showing up, because like, oh, I want to go to Bowman's parties, and like some of the acquaintances that we had who were friends with those people just like invited them.
yeah. All the other grades, just like we were
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
juniors
other
when we first started
grades too.
those. So the seniors we had a good relationship with. Some sophomores would come, like people from other schools.
But it
Maybe like
even
100, 150. Like, do you think it ever got that big?
I don't know about 150. I think
Nah.
120 was the max. I
Dude.
remember I think it was the Halloween party our senior year of high school. That's when like a bunch of kids from Sequoia started showing up. You remember
Yeah.
that? Um, which
I
that was
was
just
so pissed. My
another.
mom made me come home.
Oh shoot, Brian! I forgot you. Dang, I
I'll
forgot you
never
weren't
forgive
there.
her for that. The only one I missed.
But no, dude, I remember like waking at one point in the middle of the night, like we had counted. I think me and Ryan counted. And we got to like 120 something people, and Ryan would always just get so stressed out during those parties because they were at his place. So he did
Yeah.
he and like obviously his parents would get pissed if things got broke, which inevitably happened with that many people there. But I just remember waking up the next morning and like the entire backyard was just filled with cars. Like I had to go somewhere that next morning, and I physically like could not leave because there was just like too many cars blocking me, and I'm pretty sure there was cars like parked down in the driveway too. So like I just physically couldn't leave. It was and
Yeah,
that
wasn't
was the
it
only
your Eagle Scout project?
yeah, dude, I had to get up and go do some for my Eagle Scout project. I'm like, I
What'd
gotta
you
go.
do?
I thought about just running home. I mean, I've done that before. Just fucking sprinted home from Ryan's place. I was about to get up and do that.
What is the context? I forget when you did that.
Yeah.
Didn't
What did
Breton
you do
pick you
that
up one
for?
time?
No, oh my God, I forgot about this.
You
This is such a
idiot. Oh,
funny.
I remember this.
So this wasn't even a party. We were just I remember me, Daniel Albors, and I think it was just me and Alberts were over at Ryan's house one night. So it was just us two hanging out with like Ryan and Reed. And him and I like we camped out in the backyard, and for whatever reason we decided that we like I had a tent. I'm like, hey, let's just camp out in Ryan's backyard. And he didn't want to do that anymore, so he left in the middle of the night. While we were sleeping in the tent, I'm like, "Fuck you! I'm just gonna stay here." So he like got up like really early in the morning. Daniel Raffler came and drove him home. Ryan and Reed were at like football practice or something. So it was literally me there by myself with no car or any means to get home. And so I'm just like, why am I just gonna sit around here with my thumb in my ass, waiting for people to show up? So I'm just like I just run home. It's what like 5 miles away. It's not that far, and I make it to
5 miles.
I make it to your neighborhood, Brian, and I'm
The way
running.
you went was ridiculous.
Well, so I didn't. This is gonna be hard to explain for those who are listening who aren't familiar with Canton. But there's like a normal way that you would go, which is much shorter
It'd be like a mile or two.
versus the way that I went, which is like down a bunch of back roads through a random neighborhood, which is the way that I
And why
went.
is that?
But I chose not to go down the main road because I didn't want uh, Ryan and Reed to see me running along the side of the road on their way back from football practice because their parents were driving them at the time. So I didn't want them to like see me running
Uh,
down the road and be like, "What the hell are you doing? Why are you running home right so I took some back roads, and I made it probably like 2/3 of the way home, and then our friend Bretton Williams and Sydney Gillett like passed by me, and as soon as they passed, I'm like, hey, look, that's Bretton, and then I see them like pull off to the side and like back up. They're like, yo, what are you doing? Do you need a ride home? And I'm like sweating my ass off. I'm like, yes, please. Can you just drop me off?
Yes, yes.
oh
Good
my
lord.
god. That's so ridiculous. If you would have just run along the main road, then maybe it would have been Ryan and them. They would have just taken you home.
Yeah, but
Or
then
you
that
would
would
have
have been
made it sooner.
embarrassing.
Why?
Their parents would
Why?
have been like,
Embarrassing being picked up by friends.
what are you doing? Why are you running? Why are you running away from our house?
Exactly. Oh my god,
Because
that's
it
hilarious.
smells.
That's so funny. Oh
Yeah, good times though. You got
yeah.
some exercise.
Nice.
So what was I saying? The difference in the party. So yeah, like most like high school parties are a lot smaller. You know, they're not like 120 people. And then in college, like every weekend is like kind of a party, but it's different. You have somewhere to go and legally drink, like in a bar, even if you're underage. But it's not like you're worried about parents or cops coming in. That was always a thing on like high school parties. Worried about the cops if the parents are out of town, or you're worried about just the parents getting upset if they're in town. Like you're just always worried about something. But
So it made
yeah,
it
and
fun though. You know,
true.
like a
Well,
little edgy. Ooh, this is illegal.
Dude, I remember running from a couple houses.
Oh my god.
Cop lights in the coming through the windows. You just bolt. um, but yeah, so like college, it's just like pre-gaming is almost like a mini party, and then you go, downtown, like Athens, for us, and you just have bars. But if you're like at a even parties I would go to, like fraternity parties, like at some point everyone's just like, all right, we're going downtown for at least like an hour or two.
Yeah.
So that was always part of the night in college, just going downtown. Um, and then or just coming back in like a post game party. It's just like every weekend in college. But in high school it's a much more rare thing. And like I said, it had that edge to it, that higher sense of risk, like much more risky thing we're doing here. So
well, dude, I don't know how. So with COVID right now, I was looking up at property in Yona this weekend, and then one of my friends who was our president at the time, um, was at his Yona property, and then we had some fraternity events going on at the property this weekend, and so I just stopped by. I was like, "Yo, what's going on?" Caught up with him, and then some of the younger kids, and the current president. So this kid would be 2 years younger than me. Was saying how now in Athens they shut everything down like downtown at 11:30. So this kid specifically, y'all remember the Fred building? He lives in my room. I
oh
handed it
shit.
down to them, and so dude, they have just been getting sloshed up at the Fred. Like that's all they do. Like you go to downtown to 11:30, and then the real like party starts, and it's 11:30 to
Oh, so
God
you
knows
start off
when.
downtown and then come back.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Because they open up at like 9, they close at 11:30 because all the COVID shit. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know if I would like that. I don't. Maybe I would. I don't know.
I always enjoyed whenever I was hanging out at your place, coming either before we went downtown or afterwards. Like those are always some of the best times. Just like hanging out in your apartment, doing stupid shit, throwing
Fucking
Christmas
yeah.
ornaments at each other.
That was fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah,
God.
but it definitely. I'm sure that would get old after a while. Like yeah, I mean, at a certain point in college, it's almost like every night you're drinking, and it's
Yeah.
a it's a different dynamic if you're going downtown because there's always something new. But if you're doing it in the same spot every night, I'm sure that would get old.
And you're just living in filth, dude. Like I
Yeah.
like having the separation of like my house, my bed, like where I sleep and, spend my sober moments not partying. Like I like the separation there.
Right.
And I never got that in college because I went from the dorms, fraternity house, to the Fred building, which is essentially a glorified bachelor pad fraternity house type thing. And it was just to say I love having my own room and house now that I can separate that. Not that I'm going out every weekend anyways now, post grad life, but it was a lot, dude. I didn't fucking sleep either.
That feels like a lifetime ago. Just like one and a half years ago to now. How much things have
Yeah.
changed.
Kind of sucks too.
Yeah.
So another thing he was telling me is for the football games this year, every senior got one football ticket. They got one ticket to like various different games. That would
Damn.
fucking suck, dude.
That
I would
does
be so
suck.
pissed. My senior year, like,
Man.
oh,
I'm just glad I'm not in college right now. I'm so
yeah,
glad that I graduated when I did
Yeah.
before the shit hit the fan.
yeah.
True.
Same here, dude.
You
Got out
you
at the right
skated out
time.
just in time, Brian. Literally just
Perfect.
in time.
Got my job. Got the fuck out. COVID hit like 2 months later. I'm
Damn.
still Gucci. But
And
yeah,
Garrett left because of COVID. He's
yeah,
gonna
dude.
stay.
Yeah, man.
Get
I
an
mean,
MBA, but yeah,
I left well before all that. And I mean, if I was in that position now, I was talking to this 20-year-old at my work, and he's in school. He's like paying for it himself, and he like hates it now, like especially with the virtual. He didn't like it before, but so he's like kind of in the position I was. So I've been trying to like just help him out, just like you decide like what you want to do, and if you need that degree for it, or you could go kind of down the route I went with sales, because he would be great at it, and that's a good way to make money and learn business and learn other valuable skills, and make money instead of spending the money, paying somebody else
Right.
for knowledge. And
Saddling yourself with debt.
yep, yeah, I have debt from the 2 years I did go, and I'm glad I didn't go another 2 or 3, and I'd be double or more of the debt I'm already in.
Yeah, I think it's a good segue too, because we're talking about college, and I personally think within the next 10 years we're going to see a mass exodus. Who knows? Universities with the money they have and the power. There is something special about going to like SEC football school. I think that's always going to be attractive, but I think the smaller schools, dude, they're going to start hurting because people are seeing like with all the resources out there we have on here, like reading and stuff, like it's so easy to learn new skills and go and apply them and turn that into monetary wages, to where I really would have a hard time seeing in 10 years, with just the awareness of how toxic student loans are, that kids still just saddle up themselves to go to like the smaller schools and whatnot. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that you got a job before everything hit. Like, could you imagine trying to get a job right now, like out of college, or I don't know, just be in a spot where you don't want to go back to school, or you're just graduated and everything's so hard now, and you have all that student debt, and you couldn't get a job with all the debt.
Mm.
So it's good you
That'd
got
be
one
a
before all the
big
COVID hit.
like what the fuck moment.
Yeah, I mean, Garrett, I think he was saying that he starts his job in like a year. So if he doesn't start getting paid, he's gonna start having like student
Payments.
loan payments, coming in. So luckily that's deferred to like the end of the year, right? For everyone.
Yeah. I
But
got really lucky with that, and just all the scholarships, family planning, stuff like that, debt
yeah.
free out of college.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
like you're in the same boat there too, right? You didn't do loans.
Yeah. Thank God. I had that Zell scholarship, and my parents were able to pay my tuition, or
Yeah,
or pay for what I needed to get paid for until I started, making money.
the Navy. Yeah,
Yeah, I was in
yeah,
a
that was huge.
fortunate position there.
Very grateful about that. And we were talking about goals last week and taking advantage of the different starting points. People definitely don't all start from an equal standpoint, but it's still like our duty to be aware of that and run with it. So yeah. Anyway, so we're not to get too deep because we're trying to keep this episode light. Per last week, we really went real hard on the goals and stuff. So
We
if
went down
that's
the rabbit
something you
hole, as
fuck
it were.
with, yeah, go check it out if you haven't seen episode 10. It's a really good episode and gives you a little
That was a
more
good episode.
in-depth detail of who we are sitting here talking to you on these mics. But anyway, so our next section we got teed up is reading. So very broad. We're gonna roll through this and state our favorite past reads. So
I
mine
can't
in
read.
particular,
I don't know how to do it.
should have it right here. This is gonna be like your
I don't read.
entrepreneur business, like real cliche book choice, but it truly is like powerful stuff and is a mind shift book. And Cameron, I think you probably already know what I'm about to put up here. The Rich
I knew
Dad
it.
Poor Dad,
Yeah.
Robert Kiyosaki. It's just like an anecdotal like explanation of mindset when it comes to business, investing, stuff like that, financial freedom. Um, a great segue if that's something you're interested in. Another one too. I think this was actually the first one I read. Was The Millionaire Mind by Thomas Stanley. Rest in peace. I think he actually got in a car accident and died, but
Oh, wow.
he read a fucking really good book. It just it essentially is mindset programming on how the majority of millionaires think. Granted, it's not a one path for everybody, but um, it's got some gold in here too. It's a pretty fat book too. It's like 400 pages, but yeah. So maybe
Jeez.
start with Rich Dad Poor Dad and then go to this one. But in terms of favorite past reads, it would be those two. Easy, no doubt.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. One of my favorites would be How to Win Friends and Influence People, because that helped with my sales, and it gives you a lot of insight in how to deal with people and how to work with them better. Um, it's not just winning over people for like personal gain, but it's actually to build stronger relationships with people. So that you're benefiting them and yourself, and just creating more value in yourself and people around you. So let's see. They're all kind of along the same lines, Brian's and mine. It's like just how to make yourself better and take it to the next level as far as mindset, and not only mindset but your actions. Another one would be The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. So Tim's a guy that likes to optimize his life, and he was like in the 9 to 5 world, and didn't like it, and talks about these different keys to either just making your existing 9 to 5 better, and maybe creating more time for yourself around it, being more efficient as a person, so you don't have to put in as much time into stuff you don't like doing, so you have more time to spend doing the stuff you do like doing. But yeah, super powerful book, helps change your mindset on just like work and and your job and what you're going to do next, and ideas for how to change your lifestyle. If you want a more free lifestyle and you don't have it, then just how to get out of that, change it. And then lastly, I've mentioned this book before, Behold a Pale Horse. This is by
Is that about
the William Cooper. No, I'm actually White Buffalo. Is
Oh.
my name.
White
Not a pale
Stallion.
horse. No, but William Cooper, smart guy. He's in a lot of high up positions in our government, and has a lot of insight. Looked into a bunch of stuff, and it's just interesting his take. And it's an older book. I think it's early 90s or mid 90s or something like that. And he actually goes back, and there's like an epilogue or some post portion that's in the book now, like if you go on Audible, um and he like reviews some of what he said, and like not necessarily corrects himself, but throws out some other ideas that even contradict like what he said in the book. So it's just very insightful, like that. Even him, like with the whole conspiracy thing, people try to act like this is like this theory is the truth, and like but you don't really know. And that's his thing, kind of, is like we really don't know, because we're not the most powerful people in the world. And but it gives you more perspective into that. But then it just makes you realize that, like Garrett's quote from who was it? Leonardo da Vinci, like the greatest domain you'll have is that, or there's no greater or less domain than that over your dominion than that over yourself. And so it kind of goes along those lines. When you really think about it all, it's just worry about yourself and in your community, and that'll make the world a better place.
Like,
Beautiful.
what you got?
So in terms of past reads, I'm gonna go with the series. I would say the 50 Shades of Grey series. That's a joke. Specifically, 50
Jesus.
Shades Darker. That's That's the one that gets the blood pumping. No, I'm
kinky shit.
joking. I don't know.
Like your mom listens to this, damn it.
Sorry, Mom.
The Chronicles of Narnia are actually my favorite.
Dude, Aslan's a beast.
Those were some good books, honestly. But
Um,
anyway, what was yours?
I don't know. I haven't really sat down and read a book in a while, other than the ones that we had to read in high school. And
I'm
then
about to say
like
fucking Harry Potter or some shit right now.
I literally like Brian. If you didn't say that, like the next words out of my mouth were Harry Potter.
Good God.
Honestly that's the only like
Jeez.
series of books I've ever read, which I freaking loved those as a kid.
Other,
I don't know,
I
man.
guess
I
I don't
used
know
to
if
be really into
classic's the right
reading.
word,
I
but
just I kind of fell out of it and just I don't know. I have trouble like sitting down and like committing myself to reading a book. But I have been reading
everybody
the
does.
same. Yeah, I have been reading the same book for probably about the past year now, which I really do like. I've been reading a lot more over the past couple of weeks, just on and off. But it's How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. Um, I know that's on like a lot of people's reading lists, and it's so for those of you who don't know what that book is, it's essentially about some of the research that went on uh, into psychedelic drugs back in like the early 50s and 60s, and kind of how um, all that research, it started off as like a big boom in um, in terms of like their effect and their potential effect for healing people with all sorts of different ailments, and then obviously, that with the whole counterculture movement in the 70s, and then like the sweeping drug ban, um, you know, due to various different reasons, which that book kind of goes into. All those were banned, but it talks about the resurgence of psychedelic research, especially in like Johns Hopkins University and Harvard with the research on cancer patients, and how you know uh, psilocybin mainly is the um, the drug under the most research right now, and how it can alleviate some of um, the near death anxiety that people with terminal cancer have. But it's real interesting talking about how those drugs affect the human mind even after like one session, some of the lasting benefits they have on people, and goes into a lot of the neuroscience behind those things, which I for those of you who know me, you probably know that I'm like pretty into psychology and like how the brain works, so that kind of stuff really piques my interest, and that's what I've been
Real
reading for
quick,
like the past year.
can you touch on like what is it, alpha brain? Is that called a nootropic?
Yeah, so
And what your
that's
thoughts are on that? Like, is it worth the what $60 a month or whatever it costs?
so that's definitely a different thing than a psychedelic. A nootropic essentially just it's like a vitamin for your brain, just helps you think better. Um, Personally, I take Alpha Brain every day. I know it helps me in my job, getting up in front of students and having to teach. It just kind of helps me think clearer, explain my thoughts more clearly. And if you don't really have the 60 bucks, if you don't have the $60 a month to put away towards something like that, then no, it's probably not worth it. It's not like a huge benefit. But personally, for me, I think it's worth it because I do notice a slight benefit. And if I don't, like, if I run out of Alpha Brain for a couple days or so, I'll kind of um, I'll start to like I'll notice some differences in the way
Feel
that I
dumb.
think. And yeah, not really numb, just slower than normal, not as clear.
A
So
little
So,
retarded.
well, I always feel a little retarded, but I feel super retarded without my Alpha Brain.
so is it something like once you start taking it, you need to keep taking it, or is it something I could do like, oh, hey, I know this week at work is going to be really stressful or involved. Like, I'm going to take it this week. Like, can you pick and choose?
Yeah,
Or is it something like once you get on it, you're like, all right, I have to keep doing it?
no, it's like I said, you don't. it's not like ADHD medicine where you definitely know when you're on it. It just, I don't know, it gives you a little bit of a boost. So I know a lot of people, they'll do exactly what you just said. They'll use it for you know if they're going into a scenario, maybe you have like a presentation or something you got to um, some sort of project that you're working on. You need maybe a little extra boost, and then your normal day to day operations, you're not taking Alpha Brain. So it's like it it literally is just a vitamin for your brain. Kind of helps speed up speed up the processing speed of your brain. Um,
Yeah.
So, and last question, is it just like a cognitive enhancer, or is it when you say vitamin, like something like has long-term good health benefits of
both.
using?
Yeah, so
Okay.
they're just we all know that various vitamins and supplements are good for our overall health. Just like your in terms of your body and just the way that you feel in general. But a nootropic is something that helps you think clearer in the short term. It's good for like short term benefits, but it's also good for the long term. What it does is so quick psychology lesson. Your brain operates on neurotransmitters, which transmit information from synapse to synapse, and that's basically uh, how thinking works. And the more synapses you have firing in your brain, the more learning you're doing. So it just kind of it heightens that process. It gives your brain the fuel that it needs to think more clearly. And that's basically what alpha brain or really any nootropic does is it just it enhances that process.
Yeah,
So
it
whereas
has a
like
lot of natural ingredients that like you might not find in your everyday foods. There's a lot of stuff that can go towards making you think better, and your diet's one of them. But I think some of the stuff in there is pretty uncommon in most people's diets.
yeah.
And especially in the standard American diet, the sad diet.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, so it like Blake said, it's just a little supplement to get those synapses firing.
Cool. I think that was a productive little tangent. 'Cause it's something I've been thinking about for a while. I don't think I can afford it right now because I, as you know, live below means, kind of strapped, but
I would definitely
something I will
recommend it.
consider.
Like I know
Yeah.
you've done shoot that first form like monthly
Yeah.
vitamin
Yeah.
pack. It's
Hmm.
it's basically like that. Just an added supplement. If you do supplement, it's something that if you can afford it, I would recommend adding that to your
Right.
your daily routine.
Yeah, I'd probably start with spending the extra money towards just your diet, because some
Yeah,
people just don't spend
Right.
that money and they might try and eat cheap and just like end up eating fast food and stuff. Probably put it first towards like getting your diet right and all that stuff. And then, if you want that
Right.
extra,
Right.
yeah.
then you go get something like Alpha Brain for sure.
Interesting. So, progressing in our segment, what are y'all currently reading? So, Cameron, you want to start us off on that one?
Currently, I'm really enjoying, and I've listened to this before, but I didn't listen to it, as intently. Seven Habits of Highly Successful People. Oh,
Hmm.
I've been listening to it, and like if I don't if I didn't like hear something, if my mind wanders and I didn't, catch it thoroughly, then I'll go back and like re-listen to that section. Like I have fully understanding and like listening to everything, and it's just amazing. Like there's so many different, things you can put into practice, and do, and the principles are just amazing. I like to be, I like to try to be somebody that lives by principles and like, specific things, whether it be spiritual, religious, or just moral. Try to stand by my principles, and these are just helping me, realize some more. Like these are principles I need to implement into my life, and that I mean they're real no matter what if I implement them or not, but that they could just change a lot, make me a more effective, I mean, exactly like the title says, a more effective person. Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. So I'm really loving that right now. Like, what was I listening to today? Like, I was just cutting the grass and listening to it on Audible. And what were they talking about? He was I can't quite remember what I listened to today. But anyway.
You need some alpha brain.
You good?
Get
What
those
is
neurons firing.
Yeah,
what's he
maybe
got
if I
on
had
deck?
algebra.
What are you trying
Oh,
to
for
read
my next
next?
book? I'm gonna reread something that I've also listened to before. Is a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. So, I have a lot of ideas about like who I want to be and what I should be doing. And that's what uh, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People can help point out to you. Like, there's different exercises early on of like writing down, what you want in your life, kind of like what we talked about last episode, life goals and stuff. Who you want to be, uh, and then that's what drives your decision making and stuff. But also something I have trouble with that I've just realized again this month with just these 3 simple little goals of getting down to 195, reading 3 books, and doing 4 creating 4 different projects or things for myself or people around me, is sometimes you just don't have the habit of doing what you need to do. Like we said last week, with that bodybuilder example Blake was giving us, is it's just these things. You don't need motivation to do them every day. You really just need them to be a habit to do it every day. And I've listened to this book before, and it's been really good, and I've tried implementing and have implemented some of the stuff I heard in the book before. um, but I think just going back and really going through everything, it says like, have exactly what you're gonna do after the next thing, like prepared, like a time, like the habit is there. When I wake up, I immediately do this, and then when I'm done doing that, I go to that. And just
Right.
creating habits in your life can really change you as a person. So I'm gonna reread that book next. Or re-listen to that. So I like separate my stuff into like audible and reading, like physical, like
Mm-hmm.
with my eyes, reading. Um, and so the other book I'm reading, I talked to you about this a little bit at Reads this weekend. It was the Enneagram, uh,
Mm-hmm. Oh
almost
yeah.
like a personality type thing, but it's pretty old, and there's a lot of wisdom in there about psychology and stuff, like how people grew up, how they act in different situations, whether, and there's like 9 numbers, and everybody has a main number, and then you have wings to your numbers, so you could be like a 8 with some 3 or whatever. But as you read it, it makes more sense, and it just helps you understand people on another level of like, you know what they do, how they react, you know whether, because they are who they are, right? So they're either going to react in a healthy way or an unhealthy way, or just kind of like just a mediocre way. So it goes through like how different people act, whether if they're being healthy and they're this type of person, and they, just one of them is a perfectionist. So there's like a healthy perfectionist that has like control over their perfectionism and like who they are. And then there's unhealthy ones who like aren't in control of it, and they maybe talk to people in bad unhealthy ways, and they need everybody else around them to be perfect too, because they're a perfectionist or whatever. So that's a
Right.
really good read. I'm about halfway through that thing. um and it's taught me a lot just about people, who they are, why they do stuff, and helps me understand people I maybe didn't have as good of an understanding of. And that's what it was. I that just all clicked. So in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the thing I was listening to today was, I think, the third principle or the fourth one. But the main point to the end of the chapter was, seek to understand before being understood. So and I've heard that before, and that was this prank guy on YouTube. Actually, do y'all know Ross Creations? He's really funny. You should look into him. You probably have seen him like somewhere, Facebook, Instagram, and don't know who he is. Look into his YouTube, and maybe Blake, you can even pull him up for the people.
Yeah, I'm looking his name up.
Yeah, so he's really funny. I haven't watched him much recently, um, but he's really funny. Like just his pranks and his play, like the way he plays words off each other and the things he does are hilarious. And he's also just pretty insightful, smart dude. And that's one of the things like he puts on his merch is just like seek to understand before being understood. And so I heard that before and seen it, but I read that or listened to that today in my book. And that links with the Enneagram is it helps you just understand people on another level.
Right.
You know, before you know, try to be understood. So that's what they're saying in the book is a lot of people in conversation, they're just waiting for their chance to, you know, talk. They're either talking or preparing to talk. And so a lot of people, you know, have to try and learn and work on, you know, listening and understanding the person. And just like you were just doing, like you really wanted to understand the nootropics. So you were like listening, asking questions, asking deeper questions. Um, so I just think that's
Yeah.
really important. It
There's
all just
something
kind of rolled
I
together in the books I'm reading.
yeah, it's good synergy. Something
Yeah.
I even thought about today. It's like not directly related, but you made me think of it is always being like engaged in a conversation. So one of like my bosses, she says, um, no matter what conversation or meeting you're in, always try to have at least one smart, conversation provoking thing to say. Just like contribute, you know? Because
Yeah.
nobody is really going to remember or give a shit about the person that sits through the whole meeting, doesn't say a fucking thing, and then logs off. Um, with everything today's age, everything's on Zoom, and I know even before logging on who's going to be talking, who's going to be driving the change, the conversations, getting shit done, and who's just going to sit there in the background and not really do anything. And in consulting, like you see it a lot. Little side tangent there, but so Blake, we know what you're reading now. What is something you've got on the horizon, if anything? I don't know. People don't
So
read.
one book that I've really wanted to read is Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. Have you guys heard of that?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So for those of you who don't know who Jocko Willink is, he's a former Navy SEAL. I believe he got out of the Navy as a lieutenant commander, so fairly high up in the Navy, and he was the commander of a SEAL team. And this dude he's like the definition of like
A badass.
pretty much. He's just like a super hardcore individual. Like if you follow him on Instagram, he wakes up at literally 4 a.m. every day, posting a picture of his watch. And then like an hour or two later, he'll post like a puddle of sweat on the ground because he gets up, does his morning workout, and then and he's done by 6 or 6:30, ready to do whatever else he has on the horizon. While most people are still sleeping. And so he wrote a book called Extreme Ownership, which is really it's kind of like it's really along the lines of a lot of the books you guys have been talking about. Ways to optimize your life for to set yourself up for success. And so it's all about taking responsibility. That's a big thing. Taking personal responsibility, and acting as an individual. And what based off what I've heard about the book, is he uses a lot of examples from various different situations he had in his military career, whether it be a combat situation where he had to make a decision based on that chapter, or whether it was like some sort of training scenario. He was responsible for training a lot of upcoming Navy SEALs for whatever mission they were gearing up for. And so he uses a lot of real world examples, and then at the end of each chapter, he kind of summarizes it into how you as the reader can use that to benefit your own life. Um, so it centers around what I personally believe in a lot is just taking personal responsibility, taking control of your own life, having that internal locus of control where you're the driver of your life rather than you know um, blaming hardships or even success on external factors. Taking that ownership and using that, learning from various different ups and downs in your life to propel you
Right.
to success. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Stop
what's on the
making
horizon.
excuses.
We'll yeah, stop making excuses. We'll see when I start reading that how long it's going to take me to get through it. It's taken me about a year and a half to almost be done with the current book I'm reading.
20 minutes a day or 10 pages a day, one of the two.
What I really need to do is just I need to download Audible and just start getting books through that because I'm really big into listening to podcasts in my car, to and from work, and really just driving around. I'm pretty much always listening to a podcast. So I think that's a good way to absorb that information. It's a lot more
Yeah. I
tangible.
love podcasts. I mean, obviously, we're on here doing one of our own now, but
Yeah.
something like there is a mind like connection of physically having a book in my hand and marking shit up, doing the pages. Like, I don't know. I don't think I would want to cross the barriers of also putting books on my phone. I don't know. I like the separation between the two.
Yeah, but I like to listen to podcasts because I like to learn things from them, and that's what you read a book for is to. I mean, really, there's only two
True.
reasons you read a book to send your mind to another place, kind of let your imagination run, or learn something from it. And I think an Audible it's basically like a podcast, but you're going
Right.
through a book rather than listening to.
It's a structured format. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
some podcasts are. So
Yeah,
I'll
that's seeing words and like actually seeing them some can be easier for me to remember than just hearing them. So I definitely agree with you on that. In both situations, my mind can wander. Like if I read a word or I hear them say something specific, like something random, and then my mind will start wandering on like that tangent. And I have to go back and be like, all right, when I'm reading physically, like I had to be like, all right, I need to start this page over because my mind was wandering while I was reading. So, and then while I'm listening, it's like my mind went somewhere else for the past 30 seconds. I need to go back.
Yeah.
rewind it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll close out our section. What I am currently reading is Self Storage Income by AJ Osborne. I've got it on my desk at work and I've been meaning to pick it up at lunch every day, but to be honest, I eat my food in like 15 minutes and keep working. So probably not the most healthy thing. Trying to reverse that a little bit, but um so that's what I'm currently reading. What I want to read next. So I love the business books, the mindset, stuff like that. But for me, we talked about last week, throwing a wrench in it, mixing it up so I stay fresh. For me, there's this military thriller series. They just dropped the newest book in the series. It started in like the early 2000s. The guy's still writing it. It is by Brad Thor is the author, and the newest one, I want to say it's like Death Watch. So the whole premise of it is there's this badass Navy SEAL. His name is Scott Harvath, and he just does a bunch of ridiculous shit. Like the last one I listened to, or the last one I read, um, he was on the president's like Secret Service detail team, and they went out to, I think it was like Vail in Colorado. It's all like based on actual places in the world, which is cool. Granted, it is fictional, um, but it's very accurate in terms of military strategy, what stuff would actually look like. Like the author spends time um, really with like the Navy SEALs and the different people that he gets testimonials from to make it as accurate as possible. um, so, anyways, the last book was like he's on the detail team. The president wants to go skiing at Vail for like a week with his daughter. President and his whole detail team get wiped out on some black diamond, and his daughter gets kidnapped or some shit like that. So, really interesting fictional thriller that also has a lot of like military, like badassery in it, which is cool to me. So, yeah, that's what's on the docket. Here when I finish my self storage book.
Nice. That is good to mix it up like that. I probably should look for something like that. Some kind
Yeah,
of
because like
fictional
all the
something.
business stuff is like it's really good and whatnot, but there comes a point where like I personally believe like you need to pick a couple different things you believe in and just stick with it and grind it out. But at the same time, it is like important to continually educate yourself. But I get sometimes overwhelmed if I try to overextend and take in too much information without giving myself enough time to digest it.
Yeah, for sure. I think that was my
And that's
problem.
what.
Probably the first time I read Seven Habits is I was trying to like just get through books and
Mhm.
just read them and stuff like that. But now I'm really just listening to understand and really get into the intricacies of like what he says and stuff. So, but yeah, fictional
Yeah,
probably next for me too.
because also fictional, like you're using a different part of your brain, but at the same time, you're stimulating the creative aspect. Like that's what I love about fictional is you're decompressing your mind, you're engulfing yourself in a story, and like I said, it's utilizing that other side of your brain, giving yourself a break. And we keep talking about last week, but it's still applicable about giving your
Such a
brain the break.
good episode. Sorry.
Yeah, episode 10, hit it up if you haven't listened to it yet. But giving yourself a brain to your brain a break to decompress and um, that way that's where the creativity comes in and the magic, because you're not thinking actively about it and you're giving yourself like enough time and bandwidth for it to come organically. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, like I was saying, the next book on the docket is the next book in the Scott Harvath series. It's a fictional, like Navy SEAL type book.
Huh.
There's like 20 something books. It's
Oh
pretty
my
crazy.
god.
But yeah. Anyways though, so we're getting close to the end, Cameron. We do want to circle back and keep you accountable. So where are you at on your goals? You got fucking what,
Oh yeah.
9 days left to September?
Yeah,
Are you
there's
gonna
not
meet
much.
it or what?
I was thinking about that. I'll be close. The fitness one, I'm really gonna start grinding out. I've lost some weight. I've made strides, but the same reason I want to read Atomic Habits is like these things aren't habits yet in my life. Like working out consistently, like in the morning or something like that, isn't a habit. So it's been on and off with the working out. Been eating better, drinking water more. I got a new water filter. Have y'all heard of Zero Water?
No.
Great
No.
water filter, dude. Great. It's a whole nother level from Brita. But anyway, I just
Wait, what kind of
it's
water
a
filter is it?
like a
Is it like a
5 stage.
is it like reverse
Like
osmosis?
no,
Oh.
it's like a it's I mean it's same almost concept as a Brita filter. Like it goes through the filter, and but this is a 5 stage and not just like a one type thing. So it comes with like a reader, like a tester, so you can test the particles in your water. And and yeah, it always comes out to zero when it goes through the filters. That's why it's called Zero Water.
Hmm.
But anyway, just been drinking more water and stuff like that. So anyway, so down to 195. I think I'll get close. I think if I get under 200, I'll be pretty happy. I'm at about 205 now. I started
Oh.
about 210 ish. So I mean, we'll see. Another 9 days. I think I could probably lose close to 9 pounds. So I think I can get pretty close to that one.
Just don't eat anything for
No,
9 days.
but I mean, I could do fasting. So I mean, I want to do that at some point where I do a week long fast. My mom
That'd
did.
be
I don't know if
crazy.
she did a. I think she did a weekend recently. My mom did a fast.
Fuck
Um,
that. No way.
and I want to. Dude, it's supposed to be so good for you.
I've done it. I've done a
To
24-hour fast before. You feel
yeah,
it's a different feeling at the end of those 24 hours.
yeah.
Like
Like
when
I
you
you
want to
finally eat food, or
both. So you kind of
like the
got to like
state.
so the way that I mean before I actually did it like a few times while I was back in college. I would just like fast for a day every couple months or so, but I was also like I was really into intermittent fasting back then, so like
Mhm.
I wouldn't really be I wouldn't get as hungry as I do now when I don't really eat on a set schedule like I used to. But there I would always get like super hungry around like 2 in the afternoon, and I knew that like I just kind of had to like tell myself to like not reach for some in the pantry or like not go somewhere to eat because I knew that that was going to pass in like a couple hours or so. But once you get over that hump after like 30 45 minutes, you just you feel like cleaner. It's kind of weird. I feel like it's a weird way to describe it, but I felt like you just feel
Makes
like
sense.
I don't know, you don't have like something sitting in your stomach. You're just your body's like it's not really the only thing is processing is I guess at that point it's processing fat or it's not processing anything. So you just feel like clean. I don't know.
Well, yeah, you got to have the energy. It's processing something.
Yeah. I don't
But
know.
yeah,
But yeah, and then once you do eat something, you got to make sure you don't eat like a shit ton of food cuz then like your stomach's going to not feel good. You got to kind of ease into it, maybe eating some fruit or something like that. I made the mistake one
yeah.
time of just eating like a big ass meal because I was like I'm so damn hungry. I'm just going to eat everything in front of me. And it was not good afterwards.
Yeah, I
So
wouldn't. I don't think I'd do that. But yeah, I've done the intermittent fasting before. I really like that. I don't think I'll do it this month. Maybe next month. I want to. So like,
Been
just
doing it
having
for
these
like 4
goals, even if
years.
I don't quite reach them, it's already made me like take strides to like getting more done towards them this month. And I keep looking up here because they're up on my whiteboard right here. Um, so I'm like looking at them right now, but it's helped me, and then next month I'll be even better. I think I want to do a little thing Joe Rogan and his boys started. I was gonna,
Sober
ask
October.
y'all. Yeah, I was gonna see if y'all want to do that with me.
Cameron,
I've tried
you
it in the
epically
past.
No.
failed last year when we tried to do that. I don't trust
I
you.
don't even I don't even think it was last year. It was like the year before that,
Yeah, I think it
wasn't
was
it?
actually the year before. Yeah, I think it was two
Yeah,
years ago. Damn. Wow.
yeah. And
Define sober.
I didn't have the
No alcohol.
discipline at all.
No, no anything that like changes your state of mind. No. So the way that they do it on Joe Rogan um, is like no booze, no weed, no any sorts of other drugs. Which obviously for some of us we can't do like weed or other drugs. Um, no tobacco.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
I actually
illegal.
don't know about tobacco.
Well, I mean,
Mainly no
Fuck
booze.
it.
That's like the main thing. Is no
yeah,
booze.
Nah.
and well, for Joe, it's like no weed or anything too. It's
Yeah.
like slightly different for each person because everyone has like their different thing that's kind of there. So, but I'm gonna try and do like I need to get these habits, down pat. Like I was saying, we're gonna read Atomic Habits, and I want to go through like literally like no. I've been drinking coffee every day for who knows how long. I want to go no coffee, no booze, no THC, no nicotine, no nothing, like, and just drink like tea and water all month. So
Good
I think
luck.
I'm gonna do that. See if I can get anybody else on board.
You're gonna turn into a fairy.
Turn it to a very. I'm not gonna go vegan. I won't do it. That's a
Yeah.
true fairy level.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna do that.
Level vegan. You won't do sober October? Oh wait, no.
No.
Wait, we're supposed to be coming up the first
Yeah,
weekend of
two
October.
weekends.
Oh,
Yeah.
never mind. Throwing that out the window.
Already fucked.
Already giving up. Good Lord.
Oh my god, that is so
I
funny.
forgot about that. I was thinking, I was like, there's really no reason I wouldn't want to drink or do anything, you know.
Uh,
And then I was like, wait, we're coming up to visit you, so we got to. Dude, that's
Oh
gonna
my
be a fun
God.
weekend. We're gonna make
Oh
some
yeah,
good
we're pumping out 3 podcasts that
some
weekend.
good
Y'all better be
content.
ready.
Yeah.
Little Friday, Saturday, Sunday action. What is
I'm
that? The
excited for
second?
I'm excited for a drunk podcast. And on
Oh
the flip
yeah.
side of sober October.
Trunk cast. Yeah. So I don't
So
know. I might do a couple weeks or something. But yeah.
we'll see. Y'all got any final closing words? As Garrett would say, are your hearts and minds clear?
I am smiling and satisfied.
And then Blake says that every time.
Yeet. All right.
Yes.
You're good?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm good.
All right.
Smiling and
Appreciate y'all tuning
satisfied.
in. This is Brian Edwards from Bona Fide. We got Cameron Campbell, Blake Manzer, and Garrett Luskin Spirit. See y'all.